Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I come with, I guess, for the majority of people who spend their time on YouTube, Genshin Reddit, Twitter, actually maybe not Twitter, but the prior to, this might not come as good news for you, but to some people you probably couldn't care less. But I assure you there's other things mentioned in this particular article which pertains to maybe how you like to enjoy Genshin Impact, okay? And yes, I'm just gonna rip the bandage right off right now. Get this out of the way, kind of just seal the deal for everybody here, is that Hoyoverse has now publicly stated through an interview with GameSpot, of all sources, that yeah, they have no plans to introduce any more combat-based permanent content. And I'll have it on screen right now. You guys take for this as you will, but like I've been saying in the past, it really didn't require some sort of concrete interview for me to understand this. Once Hoyoverse introduced the TCG, that just spelled everything I needed to know. Once they announced that, I knew for a fact that more permanent combat-based content will not be coming anytime soon. And I laid out all my logic, all my reasoning. Everything Hoyoverse does serves a purpose. You guys can choose to ignore the little tiny things, but the macro, the big stuff that they constantly push out should tell you everything you need to know about the direction they want to take this game. And I'm not here saying like, oh my god, cry about it, but it's about time, people, we come to terms with what kind of game you are choosing to invest your time into, right? It's one thing to say like, well, I'm doing this for the funsies. I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it. And it's another thing is like, I'm putting myself through hell and back, suffering every day, grinding this game out because I'm too scared to quit since I put too much time, or in some cases money, into it, just for the hope that years from now down the line, or however long it would take, that this game develops into something that I initially thought it was going to be. Does that make sense? That is a terrible way to be spending your free time. And of course, a lot of this comes out as frustration online. For example, people like myself who constantly tell you guys, hey, it's not happening. It's not the kind of game Hoyoverse wants Genshin to be. Right? It was never meant to be like this. In the beginning, it was hard to tell because we all came in with fresh eyes and thinking, wow, you know, they're probably going to just elevate what we already have traditionally for MMOs, open world games, right? RPGs and all that stuff. But we never could have anticipated it was going to go in this direction. More casual play, different sort of casual game modes, even events or hangout events. It's highlighting much more the lore, the environment, and the characters, as opposed to just combat, events, grinding, leveling up your gear, damage numbers. I mean, don't get me wrong, because how we've been trained traditionally by these other games, a lot of you guys still care about damage numbers. But have you guys noticed that you are starting to lose the battle in terms of numbers here? I found more and more people supporting my content whenever I want to just take the game more easy. Have you guys noticed that on my channel here, I haven't done like meta-based content telling you guys how to play this, how to play that, how to build characters, because I've realized almost a year ago that the community has grown to the point where they not only don't need a lot of this stuff, a lot of times they don't really care. Nowadays, the people who really care have a couple great channels that offer you guys all the information that you need. And apart from that, people are just here to enjoy the game, see what's happening in the story, see what kind of new events are coming out, see who you get to spend more time with in like future hangout events. And the story, of course, is continuously progressing, along with new regions that you get to explore, get primo gems, pull your favorite characters. And now that we talk about characters, we have to talk about the fact that Hoyoverse has made a decision to make future characters weaker than older characters. Well, maybe not essentially weaker, but just less impactful. They don't want each individual character coming out to be covering such a wide spectrum of options and usage, because that also hurts them in sales. For a game that continuously pours in, was it like 100 million every year for development, which it's about 1 month of their revenue from just mobile. Imagine they take 1 month of their total annual revenue and then they pour it back into Genshin, and then it generates some another, at this point, I don't know, like 1.7, 1.8, maybe like over $2 billion worth of revenue combined across all platforms. A lot of this money isn't going back to Genshin, like we can admit to that. Hoyoverse is using Genshin to fund a lot of future projects, and of course, new projects cannot always just spring up as individual projects. For example, the TCG. I don't think Hoyoverse sees the TCG as a big enough genre of gameplay gameplay for them to devote an entire new game to it. And of course, using the IP of Genshin Impact or Honkai Impact, they could have done that as well. They decided to just import that into like a subcategory game within an already popular game, which means it guarantees people will play it, they can gather data for it, and if there's enough support, they likely will release like a TCG game down the line, a standalone game of itself. A lot of Genshin, what I found is just Hoyoverse using us to gather a lot of data and just understanding players, what they like to spend time on. And if you guys look closely towards the response Hoyoverse gave when GameStop asked them if there's going to be more permanent endgame content in the same vein as Spiral Biz, right? Hoyoverse says not everyone is interested in Musk Reef. And what Musk Reef is, it's the island that the Spiral Abyss is situated on. So this is basically them already telling us like, hey, we see the number, we see the stats, right? We're just letting you guys know not everybody is interested in this thing, meaning that there's a huge portion of the player base not even playing the Abyss. And the reason I was able to get insight to this much earlier was when I first started the game back in 2020 with my girlfriend. She hated the Spiral Abyss. Like, don't get me wrong, she farmed all the events, she did all the quests, she opened all the chests that she could find, she grinded for characters, and she cooked, she did almost everything. She literally went through every aspect of Genshin that she could until she reached the Spiral Abyss, where she had a Hu Tao at the time, she had a Zhao, I believe. I think she also had Ganyu, she had Zhongli, she had Tartaglia, she had Klee, she had Venti, all the good characters, and she couldn't get past floor 5. Not because she couldn't, because she just didn't care. She didn't want to do it. It wasn't fun for her. And I'm telling you guys, she was okay dropping $5, $10, $15, $20 every single month to get the BP, to get the Welkin, just to get the characters so they look pretty, and she thinks they're cute. Like, people, it doesn't always have to be about combat, beating enemies' faces in. Now, personally, if you're asking myself, am I disappointed hearing this? Of course I am. But then again, I've already eradicated this option from future Genshin updates. I knew for a fact this wasn't gonna happen, likely ever, but it still hurts hearing it from Hoyoverse's mouth, right? Hearing it from themselves as they say it, hear them tell us that if they were to design another type of permanent endgame that is similar to the Spiral Abyss, it might end up creating excessive anxiety for our players, meaning this is just a very roundabout way for them saying like, people who play this game don't care about this stuff. And once again, I don't know how many more times I need to reiterate to people watching who defend the idea that we need more permanent content, that you guys are in the severe minority. I'm just telling you guys, people who are on YouTube, people who are on Reddit, people who actually care about combat, min-maxing, all this stuff, crunching numbers, right? Speedrunners, you guys make up about probably like 15% of the community. Maybe less than that. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think Genshin, for the most part, started off selling the idea that it was going to be this expansive and complex combat world exploration RPG game, but it kind of one day just took a different path from what we all foresaw it to be, like having such a wonderful, complex, team-based combat system through reactions and all this weapon choices, synergies, for it to kind of just give up on that and focus more on the characters. But then again, the characters, yeah, they're the main bulk of the content when it comes to the game. But I never thought, if you asked me back in patch 1.0 how the game was going to develop, I probably would have told you guys, oh, we're going to get our personal housing, we're going to get a guild system, we're going to have like big raid bosses, group content, there's going to be a lot of fighting combat, and we're going to develop this combat system with more weapon types, more reaction types. I mean, some of that did come true, but for the majority of the stuff that I thought was going to happen in this game never really came to fruition. And it really had to take me a couple patches of just telling myself, okay, do I still want to keep playing this game if it's not going to be the game that I initially thought it was going to be? But I'll be honest, I have been pleasantly surprised on many occasions by Hoyoverse decisions to implement content that I thought was not going to be fun for myself, which ended up to be okay. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I don't mind spending some time every day on this or some time every week on this. It didn't have to be a daily thing. Genshin Impact isn't really so much of a daily must grind game as like many, if not most other games are. So I think at this point, I'm okay with it. Now, if you guys want to go read the article, I'm going to leave the link for it in the comments down below, and please let me know what you guys think. So until next time, I urge y'all to stay safe and peace.